of you in a different language? Let's hear some languages. Anyone can speak in a different language? Je t'aime, okay. That's the French. Right, TMO, good. Anyone can say it in Hindi? Go ahead, go ahead. Right, that is it. So, love can be said in many different languages. That's what I know. That's what I know, yes. That's what we know, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, that is it. That's it. Wonderful. So generally, there are 5 different love languages. And I'm sure you have remembered some of them offhand. This just reviews the different love languages. And how can love languages be an essential part to key to marital bliss? I remember once, Pastor Kevin, you were at Loma Linda, and we had to go to a different country to study a part of the program. And a pastor you know quite well, you know Pastor Sonny Peters, you know Pastor Dutton? You know Pastor Dutton? The thing is, we had to do a part of the program in Puerto Rico. And it was a very hot summer day. But the thing is, you wanted some ice. And no one knew the Spanish word for ice. But we just sent Pastor Peters. We were so thirsty. Pastor Peters said, I do not know what it is, but I'll come back with some ice. And brothers and sisters, I do not know how he did it up to today, but he came back with a big mug of ice. So even though he did not know the language, yet he was able to communicate. And that is exactly what happened. So love can be a language in which we can communicate. What's your love language? Why do you think Pastor Peters was able to get that ice, even though he could not speak Spanish? Desperation, right? What else? Right, his actions, he used a lot of actions. What else? Right, uses sign language. Very good. So all of these are different ways in which we can communicate. So you need to know what is your love language. And how do we express our love? And now there are the 5 basic love languages. And once we understand these languages, we can better communicate to our spouse, to our future spouse, even to our children. So this is not limited to just husband and wives. It can go across the board. It can go to let's say, for children and parents, teenagers, and others. Okay, pardon? Someone said something? Okay. Right. You're correct. So even as we were growing up, we learned different languages, you know, and I remember there are certain words I remember, for example, look at even some words have crept into those of us from Trinidad. We would hardly say potato pie. What would we say? Aloo pie. Say someone says potato pie, what are they speaking about? But if you say aloo pie, what happens? Everybody knows. The only strange thing, though, is that people from Guyana do not know the real word for roti. It is really dal puri. But the brothers from Guyana call it puri. But the real word is dal puri. You see, I'm causing some friction there. But you see, the real thing, for example, like even in Trinidad and Jamaica, the real thing, what they call callaloo, we don't call it callaloo. You see? But the real thing is what we call callaloo is the real thing. You know that? Yes. So, so you notice how some confusion come across, some animosity, because of different languages. It all happens. Now, the importance of the love languages. So sometimes you can be communicating your love to your significant other in one way, and he or she is not responding in that particular way. So for example, have you ever seen someone say, well, I really love this person. I do everything for her. I bought her this, I bought her that. And how could you say, I do not love her? Does he really love her? Yes, but why isn't she perceiving what he is saying as love, as true love? Right, using a wrong language. Okay? So we need to understand this. Now, what happens when we do not speak the love language of our spouse, our significant other, our children, or parents? For example, you may be speaking to your parents in one way, the parents may be speaking to the children in another way, and they think they're communicating in love, but they are not. And we shall see. No love language, no love. In other words, unless you're able to communicate in the language of that individual, that person that you love, it may cause some problems. If you know the love language, you can know what true love is. And feel free to stop me at any time. Okay, you want to ask a question? It's okay. What's your love language? As we said, there are 5 different love languages. So let's look at them in a different manner. We have the words of affirmation. We have acts of service. We have quality time. And you have giving gifts. And you have physical touch. Now let's look at these 2 here. Physical touch and giving gifts. Now let's say the person that you love a lot perceives love as physical touch. Okay? Let's say this is his or her love language, physical touch. But you, on the other hand, your love language is what? Giving gifts. Now, this person here, how does he or she perceive love? Physical touch, isn't that so? But you now, your love language is what? Giving gifts. So you may shower him or her with gifts. But the person is perceiving love as a physical touch. So what do you think may be happening there with these two individuals? What will happen to these 2 individuals? Brother Eddie? Communication problem, all right?
In my case, I will keep and I will
You heard what Brother Eddie said? He said in his case, he would also give gifts, but he'd also touch. All right, in other words, he's covering all the bases. Pastor Mohammed. That is it. Unfulfilled and unsatisfied and frustrated. But the thing is, they really love each other, isn't that so? They love each other. However, how they perceive love. For example, let's say that we have a particular family. The wife wants physical touch. The husband likes to give things. He gets a raise, he buys her a new washing machine. He buys her a stereo, buys her a lot of things. In other words, this is how he perceives love. You follow me now? He is giving her these things. And then she will turn around and say, he doesn't really love me. Pardon? Right. In other words, you are correct there. You are correct. Okay, so we see these are different ways in which it can be done. Do you follow me there, everyone? Any questions so far? Go right ahead. Okay. All right. Okay, I don't think those in the back heard your question. You can just stand a little and speak loudly. How can they work, how can this couple work it out? Anyone? Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. In other words, right, so it has to sort of, as you rightly said, give and take, compromise, and learn the other person. Very good. I'm coming to you right after. Mm-hmm. Okay. But then sometimes, you know, people marry for many years and they still, go ahead. Go right ahead. One can perceive it as love, and the other one can see it not as love. Very good. So, as we look at the 5 love languages, let's talk love languages now. We need to know what are these love languages. I show her love, but she doesn't believe that I do love her. In other words, again, we can have 2 different modalities in which love is expressed. And one is, it could be seen in that particular area, and it is not being perceived as true love. So, what do you really want in your relationship? Whether you are not yet married or you're already married, do you want this? Shouting? Or do you want something like this? Right, you want something that way we can have what? Perceive loved. How do we get there? How do we progress now from frustration to happiness? Go ahead. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, get them from that high horse. A big problem. In other words, I keep hearing this word communication coming up. Why do you say that, Brother Eddie? Mm-hmm. Right, you're correct, because in Okay, yes, thank you. Brother Eddie, I don't think the others in the back heard you well. Okay, you help us with the mic, please, thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, what I just said is because sometimes you mean well, but you have the wrong sending the message, but with the wrong way or the wrong signal, and they receive it. You have it right, but they receive the wrong way, wrong signals.
I like what you said, because in communication, you have the sender and you have the receiver. Okay, Sister Bibi wants to say something. Yes. Okay, Brother Eddie wants to hear what you're saying, yes.
So I am saying, I just came in, but I can pick up.
Yes.
We're talking about the marriage and we're talking about communication. I am one person by myself. I have my own character and I have my own being. And so is my husband. We have to compromise in this marriage. I might say yes and my body language says no. So sometimes you have to sit down. I tell my husband, if we talk about something we can't fix it now, we table it until another time. That doesn't mean that we're not coming back to it. The issue still has to be solved. But maybe we can't get to it now because I might be upset and I'm not seeing what he's saying. So I said, leave it for later. We're going to come back to it. And then we can come back with an open mind. So communication, like you said, as I am saying that, he has to agree to.
That's it.
You know, he has to agree that we need to fix this because we know all marriages has ups and downs. There's no one I've ever seen, no way, no how, no place, no country that doesn't have issues in their marriage. How you deal with that, that's the thing. You know? So communication is very important. The other thing, women, I don't know, women on the whole have so much different ways of dealing with things. The husband might say, is something wrong? No, something is not wrong, but something is wrong. You know, so you have to learn your partner also. You have to learn your partner, but you don't get lost so much. Let me tell you, when I decided to marry my husband,
yes,
I was lost in the beginning because I put God second place. And I had to fight and get back. Put him second, else I couldn't do what I wanted to do. So sometimes we love our partner so much that God comes second, and that's the bad thing. You know, so there's so much things to this communication.
I appreciate that. Wonderful. So you see then that we have to, as you rightly said, communication is a two-way street. Okay, let's move on further. How well do you know your spouse or your significant other? You need to connect via the love language. Connect with your spouse through the use of the love languages. So as you rightly said, you know the different love languages and you communicate through them. Now, which of these two signs or road is easier to follow? Which, Pastor Mohammed, which one, which thing is easier for you to...
None of them.
Okay, all right. No. Right, I like what you said there. They are sending mixed signals. Because notice it says, do not enter. And then it says, enter only. This one says, stop. Then it says, go straight, go back, go left, go right. So sometimes in our relationships, as you rightly said, Sister Bibi, we could be sending mixed signals. So confusing language confuses. Now, I am glad I'm leaving this afternoon. Because you know just what he said, the ladies. Okay. Go right ahead.
My question is,
Yes.
at what part of the relationship mixed signals or confusion starts? Like beginning after a couple years? I really think when it comes to one sending mixed signals and confusion, there is something more behind that.
Okay. But you notice even in courtship, how we are so eager to please, and we hide the negative aspects, the habits which are negative, we hide them, and only when we are married, say, okay, well, now I have him, now I have her, you get to see the true me coming out now. But then, you see, as someone said, it is easier to catch a bird than to keep the bird alive after you have caught it. It's easy to catch it, but then after, it's harder then. So you see, it can come at different stages within the relationship. Yes, question right here. Okay.
Do you think that there are some relationship that have, how could I say, it has no hope?
Why are you asking me those hard questions, brother? You leave Pastor Mohammed to ask me, you know.
I have a reason why I ask you.
All right.
You see, the things we just normally supposed to put first, we just put it last.
Mm-hmm.
When a young man or a young lady going to look for, well, obviously going to be a husband or wife sometime in the future, you got to visit their home. You're supposed to get to know them, know their parents, know their background, know the kind of relationship that the parents have, how they grew up, and the type of principles by which they live by. Some people grow up where the man word is final and that's it. What I say goes, right? Some people grow up in a house where the mother says, listen, this is what it is, and it is.
So
now,
true.
When you fall into a relationship with a person like that, you in serious trouble. Because it's a one way. It ain't no compromise there. And this is the point. Who is the boss? And these relationships, listen, people have to bend backwards, as they say. But in the meanwhile, that person is getting sick. Their body is deteriorating in mind, physically, and mentally. And that relationship is heading down a road to an accident.
Right. You are correct. That is so true. But your point is well taken. Go right ahead, brother. He said what you wanted to say? Oh. All right. So we are seeing then, let's move one step further now. These are the different love languages. We all need to both receive and give love. We both need to what? Receive and to give love. Love can be expressed and received in all 5 languages. However, if you don't speak a person's primary love language, that person will not feel loved, even though you may be speaking the other 4. Once you are speaking his or her primary love language fluently, then you can sprinkle in the other 4, and they will be like icing on the cake. In other words, you need to understand what is the other person's primary love language. And when you understand that now, the other 4 you can just, it's like icing on the cake. Are we together there? Okay, let's move one step further. Love is a basic human need. Psychologists have concluded that the need to feel love is a primary human need. We all need love, isn't that so? We love to feel loved, and we love to give love also. And how we perceive that, that is important. I'm sure you remember this. There's what is called the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. In other words, look at this aspect. We have the basic needs, like air and water and shelter. We have the safety needs. We have love and belonging, esteem. So, for example, If, let's say we have a class here. Let's say we have a class, and I'm teaching you, and you are my students. Now, I want, but the thing is, you have not eaten for 2 days. And what I am teaching, I think it is so important. You follow me? Very important. But what is your basic need? You want some food. You follow me there? You want some good food. You know, for example, sometimes, I mean, I have been in America for quite some time. You know, sometimes I carry the students on road trips, and you have these hamburgers, and you have these different pies and things like that. But sometimes, all I want is, you know what a doubles is? Sometimes all I want is a good doubles. 3, okay, he said 3. Right, you know, the thing is, but then, so here you are my class now. Oh, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. So here we are now. Okay, just a minute. Your basic need is what? For some food. But I now am a professor. And you have an exam coming up, and I want to give you all the knowledge so that you can pass your exam. And next door is some food. You're really smelling the food, the aroma coming through. Now, here I am trying to get you now to teach you. But you are smelling the food from the cafeteria. What will be happening there? Go ahead.
You can't take on what the professor says. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So that need must be supplied. When that need is supplied, he will or she will eat up all that.
Okay. Right. So in other words, this is it. In other words, I must satisfy the basic needs first. Do you follow me there? When I satisfy the basic needs, then these can come. I can be telling you all about love and all of, but then your stomach is growling. Would you be listening to me? You would not, because that basic need has to be met first. Okay? So love is a great motivator. Someone has said, Gary Chapman, who wrote the book, that's a beautiful book, 5 Love Languages. For love, we climb mountains, we cross seas, traverse desert sands, and endure untold hardships. Without love, mountains become unclimbable, seas uncrossable, deserts unbearable, and hardship our plight in life. You know, a young man was writing to his girlfriend. They were teenagers, and he was professing his love to her. And he wrote her, you know those days when you used to write letters? These young men, you don't know about, you text, everything is text, but long ago, brother, it used to be so good. I'm looking at the younger generation, but when we were younger, we had to write and express our love. Sister Muhammad, you remember those days? That is it. You have to write and express yourself, not so? And that is how it used to be. But then now this young man, he was writing, he said, I will climb the highest mountain. I will face the fiercest lion. I will do anything just to cross the river filled with alligators just to see you. And then he said, P.S., I'll see you tomorrow if it doesn't rain. So we are seeing then that sometimes we can say things and not really mean it. So this is the same pyramid by Maslow, but this time is in French. And those who love it in Spanish, you have it here in Spanish also. So love is at the core, at the heart of man's existence, is desire to be intimate and to be loved by another. This is what we need. Marriage is designed to meet that need for intimacy and for love. Now, if you look at even the definition of marriage, the best of marriage explained, it really is, it is a model of complete family and all of these aspects. Now, what is your partner's What are your children's love languages? What about your parents? Do you know your parents' love language? What about your brothers and your sisters? Do you know their love language? Understanding is the key. Love is something you do for someone else, not something you do for yourself. You don't do it to please you, but rather to what? Please others. Have you ever noticed when you're getting dressed and you have a bottle of perfume? If you're going to sprinkle it on yourself, what happens? If you're going to sprinkle it on someone, if you have a bottle of perfume and you want to sprinkle it on someone, what do you have to do? Isn't that so? But in putting it back, what happens? Some gets on you. So it is not something you do for yourself, but rather something you do for others. There is no perfect family. Sister Baby, you said that earlier on. There is no perfect family. No family is perfect. We argue, we fight, we don't even stop talking to each other. We stop talking to each other at times. But in the end, family is family. The love will always be there. You know, could you imagine sometimes going to do something like this and you and your spouse having an argument, a disagreement, and you know what the topic is? How to resolve conflict. I remember once I was teaching a class and I was living in Staten Island at that, we were passing through Staten Island on our way to New York. And it was traffic because there was an accident, a vehicular accident. And I look at the time, I would be late for the class. And I was frustrated, angry. And you know what was the class I was going to teach? How to manage stress. And here I was all stressed out, angry. And I'm going to teach a class now, how to manage stress. Strange, isn't it? So in every family, there are problems and there are difficulties. Forgiveness is needed in families. Go right ahead, brother. Okay. Yes. He's bringing the mic for you.
I don't think family will always be a family.
Pardon?
Then, according to what you put up just now,
Yes.
there's no perfect family. Family will be family after arguments and all these things, right? Then what take the family to the judge court for divorce?
Well, you see, what causes, you see, because it could be that they have given up. It could be that they've given up. Remember this morning in that sermon with David, all of them had given up. They wanted to stone him. They spoke of stoning him to death. But at that time, could you imagine how David felt? All his wives were taken, his children were taken, all his friends were captives, and the people you are leading, they are talking of stoning you. But what does the verse say? But David encouraged himself in the Lord. And that is what makes a basic difference. You see, the average family may want to give up. For example, do you know now there's a popular thing called prenuptial agreement? It means now, if I'm going to marry someone, before I marry you, you have to sign up a paper stating what is mine, what is yours, and if we get divorced, you keep what is yours, I keep what is mine. What do you think of that? Let me hear. Pardon? Well, I'm asking you. Yes, help us with answer this. Yes.
Especially how things is happening in America.
Yes.
Some people know you have money, they'll marry you and spend a few years and take half your money. That's the way people are today.
Yes.
So to prevent that from happening, and it's happening so often, people say, you know something, if I'm going to marry somebody, I'm going to let them sign a prenuptial agreement.
Okay.
All right? Now, it is a form of what? Precaution. All right? However, it may have love, I do not know. It may not. You understand? But remember, you see what is happening in society sometimes twists our mind.
Yes.
You know? But where there is real love, really love, you love that person, you don't think you're thinking about the person.
Right.
You're thinking about yourself.
In other words, you go into the relationship now, not thinking of ending it with a divorce. When the tough times come, you tough it out. When the rough times come, you go through it. Pardon? You see, I think there are certain laws and guidelines that in case there is a divorce, you have to share it half and half. Oh, I'm coming to you right after, yes. Pardon? Explain yourself. Yeah, but
I'll move on. I would not, you see, especially if children involved. I leave whatever I have for the children and the mother, and I gone. I don't want no half and half. I enjoy you to the fullest. There's me.
okay, all right. Okay, I have a hand in the back also. Yes.
I won't give her.
Pardon? Yes.
He said he wouldn't
I'm coming
give
to you.
me.
Oh,
I think when they say about being
hold on.
unequally yoked.
Okay, 1 minute before you go
Okay.
further. Hold on.
Okay.
I didn't plan this part, okay, sis? Go right ahead now.
Listen, as a friend of mine, where is Brother Mahays? Brother Mahays, I got the mic now, right? Remember that? He knows what I mean. What I was thinking, how I've always thought when the Bible verse says, don't, be unequally yoked, people think about religion, I think about everything. So when it comes to the fact when you're thinking about prenuptial, if you have and she have, there's really not an issue. But the problem comes to be, like what you said, when somebody does not have as much or does not have, and they marry someone who has more. So that's where the first division and the problem comes right there, is that because that person thinks that because, I have more, that the person who has less wants what I have. So anyway,
Wonderful.
if they're like together already, it's not a problem.
And you notice what happens in a case like that is that one person may just be going in to see what he or she can get. Okay, in that case. Okay, Sister Baby?
Back up a little and say,
Go ahead.
that is why, as Christians, when we're looking for a partner, that's where the work begins. Coming back to this prenuptial, I told Moses to make his will since I marry him, and he don't want to make his will. He says, who tell you you're going to die before me? I didn't know prenuptial, but I want him to make a will.
This is, it happened because I remember when we just got married, and I said, let's make a will. My wife first he said, you sick? So we have this feeling that once you're making a will, you're about to die. But it's not, you're not, like that. So true. What is your love language? You see, knowing your love language is essential. Discovering your own love language helps you understand why you feel more loved and appreciated by certain people than you do. So it helps you to understand why you feel. Now, first of all, we have words of affirmation, words to build you up. You thrive on words of affection, on praise, encouragement, and compliments. But harsh words and criticism can bother you for a long time. Now that is if your primary love language is what? Words of affirmation. It is not flattering. I can live for 2 months on a good compliment. That's what Mark Twain said. One way to express love emotionally is to use words that build up. And you notice some people say, well, once they get a good compliment, once something is said good about them, they feel different, they feel good, they feel they can move the whole world. That would be those who are moved by verbal compliments or words of appreciation often. They like that. Words of affirmation, however, they are not flattery. The object of love is not getting something you want, but doing something for the well-being of the one you love. It is the fact that when we receive affirming words, we are more likely to be motivated to reciprocate and do something our spouse desires. You may not want to do something, but when that person that you love compliments you, what happens? She may have been asking you to do something for quite some time, but now you feel motivated, what? You do it. All of us have areas in which we feel insecure. We lack courage, and that lack of courage often hinders us from accomplishing the positive things that we would like to do. So we want to encourage, to inspire. That is what the word encourage means. The latent potential within your spouse is his or her area of insecurity may await your encouraging words. So he or she may be insecure in certain areas, but your words of encouragement can help. Acts of service. Now, for example, sometimes, you know, especially in wintertime, how that bed gets cozy, and your spouse may say, could you go downstairs and get me a glass of water? Just when you have settled into a comfortable position. I see somebody smiling, but I'm not calling names, Brother Eddie. I'm just watching at the side of my eyes, but I see both of them looking at each other. Sister Baby, let me just call your name, sorry. What is it? Yes, glad to hear that. Wonderful. That's good. Amen for that. And sometimes, what could I say? Sometimes some of us are married to some wives who like everything neat. For example, I remember she sent me to the fridge to get something. The second shelf to the right hand. I say, wow. But if you see, my drawer is not always as clean as hers. I could find it. The thing is, there is a method to your craziness. Is that so, Brother Eddie? It is not as neat as others would like it to, but you can find it. Brother, we have some. I like you, man. That is how it is sometimes, and we have this tendency, our spouses, very meticulous, it happens. Then physical touch, holding hands, kisses, hugs, touches. But physical neglect can drive a wedge between you and your spouse. So you have the physical contact, but it must be on a regular basis. All right, go ahead. Now, brethren, I did not say anything. I didn't call the names. Brother Eddie, did you hear me call any name? Okay, all right. Go ahead, Sister Biddy. It happens.
Pastor, I wanna.
Right. The- right, that you're correct. In other words, you must maintain that individuality. Very good.
Yeah, I wanna say something
Go
on
right
that
ahead.
point. I find women have more excuses or more reasons not to be touched or so on, much more than a man. 1,001. And they don't, Yeah, I
But
speak to
he
everybody.
has a microphone. He's moving
No,
the
no,
mic.
no, listen, man. I'm not giving one-on-one like Sister Bibi. I'm speaking from everything, experience,
Yes.
knowledge. Good. So, that's the whole idea. That's my thought to what Sister Bibi has said.
Okay.
All those things Pastor put on the board, you think he actually did it? That's books. That's what he studied. So that's how I'm speaking, okay?
Okay, all right. I like that point. The other one is receiving gifts. A thoughtful gift says that you are special, but avoid generic gifts. When it's your wife's birthday, your girlfriend's birthday, your boyfriend's birthday, don't go and buy true, if you first of all, he must remember. And then now, do not go and buy something generic like a blender. You know, a blender is for the house. A blender is not specific. You follow me? Be specific. Be individual. Be an individual. Go right ahead. Okay, he's giving you the mic, Sister Biddy.
I have a question, and I know I have a lot of women, folks that work in church at work, and they have their marriage. What do you think? Even, okay, I'm going to use my husband and myself as, I don't want to use anybody else. Okay, I'm working, he's working. At the end of the month or at the end of his pay, he should come and say to me, hey babes, look something for yourself. Not for the house, as you say, but something for yourself. Is that applicable to a marriage or a no-no?
No, sometimes it's good to sometimes even in your budget, sometimes it's good to give each other some, in other words, what we could call yourself money. In other words, it could be whatever amount you all decide. In other words, if you want to go and buy Anshar, you know what Anshar is? Okay. If you want to go and buy Anshar with that, that's your problem. In other words, you're not accountable for that. In other words, let that be you're spending money to do as you please. So you just need something like that. Go right ahead, my brother.
Yeah. On the topic of spending money or
Yes.
giving money, I mean, I had this perception that a gentleman or a male should give a female money, you know, and would feel bad if a female pays because like the other day I was like on a bus and a female was like, no, I will pay for you. But I'm like, what? Because it was weird. But what do you say? It should work both ways. Females should give too. Should give money also. Because remember, the males are the provider and the protector of the family, the head, what's not.
Okay.
But does that mean that the male should be the one always giving the money, always taking out, always, you know, should that be the case?
Okay, that's a good question. And for example, have you ever, as a male, gone on a bus and then you see a lady there and you say, okay, you get up now and you say, and the lady insults you and saying, did I ask you for a seat? In other words, you are just being courteous, you're just being kind. You follow me? And it is met with that kind of resistance sometimes, okay?
Are you talking about single men?
Okay, right. Okay, you know, it's just that because we grew up in a different era. When you understand me, when we grew up, that's how it was. You know, that we would do the provision. Okay, but it's quite interesting. Okay, Gifts need not be expensive. Let us remember, learn to speak your spouse's love language. Love language can drastically strengthen your love relationship. Communicate and dispose. The thing is, love never fails. Love is patient, and you know that from 1 Corinthians 13. Okay, love never fails. Can emotional love be reborn in a marriage? You bet. The key is to learn the primary love language of your spouse and speak it. Love is a choice. It is a what? It is a choice. Always remember that. Love is a choice. Choose to speak your spouse's love language, and happiness would ensure. Love, language, compatibility. Okay? Now, love is a choice. Now, how do you find out when you learn your significant other's love language? How will that help your relationship? If you're courting, do you think it is important to learn your girlfriend's or your boyfriend's love language? It is good, okay? So this is what we're looking at. So this is just to whet your appetite about love languages, okay? And there's a beautiful book by Gary Chapman called The 5 Love Languages. Okay, if you can get that book, it helps a great deal. Okay, and some churches, they have a book club, and they can even read that. You follow? They can even read that in the book club. So I just want to encourage you to let us learn each other's love language. And as we do so, our lives should be stronger and richer as a result. Does it make sense? Okay. Okay, we'll stop there because I promise. Yes. Our last point, yes.
You're traveling, you should give your seat up. But right now, presently now, you see a lot of individuals looking like female. Big, strong, looking like female. You know, when you give your seat up to them, you're, okay, thank you.
Yeah, in other words, that is the way in which we live. You see, the thing is, you based it on your assumption, you know, and it happens. This is the world in which we live today. That is the reality in which we live today, you know, and you are correct. Okay. Okay. Our last point, Sister Baby. Yes.
The woman came into the train and there's no seat. She says, oh, don't we have any young gentlemen? They said yes, but they don't have no empty seats. Wow. They have gentlemen, but they don't have any empty seats. Mm-hmm. So they're not giving up their seats.
Right. You see, that is the difference in the culture now. You know, when we call this called chivalry, being a gentleman, but now things are different. And I pray that by the grace of God, as we continue educating ourselves in these areas, we would all be benefited as a result. Okay? Let us stand at this time as we close up. And I am glad that I was able to spend some time with you today, both this morning and this afternoon. And I pray that by the grace of God, we will be able to spend some more time together. You know, Pastor Muhammad, I'm glad to have met the members. They're very warm and cordial and congenial. You know, I really feel happy. I feel at home. I really feel at home here. Yeah. Okay, I appreciate that. So, Pastor Muhammad said we'll come back some other time in the future with Sister Charles. Okay? Well, let him work his timetable and we communicate. We'll communicate, Pastor Muhammad. Okay, Brother Eddie? Could you come and just close us off, please? Okay. And thanks again for the invitation.
Okay, before we end, we are going to sing a couple of stanzas of Happy to Home.